Hello, my name is Renee L. Rose. I'm the founder of Explore Art Talk. With Explore Art, our featured guests, we have meaningful conversations celebrating artistic and cultural diversity that makes our world extraordinary. So sit back, relax, and check out our content. Thank you for joining us today. So why don't you tell me how you got involved into the arts and became a visual artist?
Sure. It definitely took a more non-traditional line for me. I wasn't really encouraged per se, not discouraged, but it wasn't one of my academic proclivities, so to speak. I wasn't drawing a whole lot, or at least anatomically drawing well. So no one like plucked me out of the group and was like, "You're the drawer, you're the painter."
Yeah.
Um, but I've only taken like one art class, and that was in high school. But as time went on, whenever we had art related projects, especially video, creative writing, I always found that I was pouring myself out into them.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And other students or my teacher would be like noticing that, could tell I put in a lot of effort. And I didn't even realize that that was within me to do. So there was a bit of a discord between what I thought I should be doing or could be capable of. And it never really became an academic fixture for me. I had a mentor, though, who thought maybe it would help me just process life better.
Mhm.
And which at first I was like, if I can't do this well, it's just going to be like this cycle of perfectionism again. But what I didn't realize is that it's the process itself of trying to
Yeah.
make something that's actually therapeutic and not the product.
Yes. That's
Oh,
life, period. Life is a
yeah,
process. It's about getting there and the journey that you take. Um,
right.
so it's interesting. So how did you start making the different collages that you do? Because I could tell they're all about messages and a journey.
Oh, well, I guess it sort of started as a recommendation again. I was struggling so much to find the joy in the visual arts that involve, again, like tools and just kind of creating something from scratch. So someone told me, go get some magazines and just cut them up. I mean, make something of what's already there. And I did that for a time, took a break, revisited again when college started, and COVID kind of took away unity and community. And so I was just in my little apartment or in my parents' house, wherever I was at the time, and then started putting a lot more hours into collaging, and that in its own way has evolved. But I think the biggest thing that has spoke to me is that the materials are just endless and it can become whatever you want it to become. I didn't have any references in mind. I didn't realize there were other people that were collaging. It was just so at first it was making kind of ironic pieces, like getting my school newspaper, cutting it up, and then making, I guess, like a sort of poking fun at comic with whatever was there.
Oh, wow.
Uh, a little on the absurd side more than logical,
Mhm.
but then I stopped using so many words and just started focusing on visuals and images themselves and how they could blend together well.
Mhm.
And that's sort of how I've landed where I am now.
So now that you're doing this, and it seems you're a lot more comfortable. So when you're creating a piece, do you have a certain message that you're putting into it, or you're just letting the pieces fall together randomly?
I think that the initiation of a piece can go either way. I usually find something salient, something that speaks out to me, and
Yeah.
if it evolves into something with a little bit more continuity and connection, it does. Sometimes I just like how something looks, things
Ah,
that blend together well that you maybe wouldn't immediately associate with one another in a way and sticking them there. It's almost like visual wordplay for me. I love to write. I love
oh,
to write with
okay.
images, like you were saying.
Yes, yes. So with it coming together, because I'm an oil painter, and with all visual
Uh,
artists, some of the things we have to contend with is how do we know when a piece is complete? So
mhm.
for your pieces to be complete, is it a combination of the colors, the shapes? How do you know something is complete if you don't have a concept in mind?
That's something that has also changed with time. At first, I was very much comfortable leaving something at any arbitrary moment. If it was
Oh,
done, it was done. Now I have the patience and a little bit more endurance, and maybe even some of that perfectionism I was talking about before to revisit it. And
oh,
sometimes it's a matter of ripping it right off the page and reconfiguring it again, or adding something to it. It needed a little something extra. Um, I know many people who are more professionally or academically trained in the arts. And so sometimes I get a little feedback from them. And one of the things that I don't know that I've actually incorporated at all, but it was so funny that there was this perspective of leave somewhere for the eye to rest on the page. And I was like, I don't think I have ever disciplined myself far enough to create a focal point. It just feels always like I'm crafting an explosion of sorts sometimes. But that has been on the mind as of late. So completion is just a matter of almost just feeling settled with it internally. Because, like you said, if there is no basis for concept and I'm just making it as I go along, it's all a matter of where I can accept it being complete, which is really fulfilling because I love to look back at the stuff I do, not even to just reminisce and be like, what was I feeling then?
yeah,
Or
yeah,
I like how this looks, but like legitimately to repurpose it in some way. You have these like bursts of creative epiphanies once in a while, and you're like, I know what I want to do with this focal piece now. I know what I want this all to mean. I get what I was not able to verbalize, and I can move forth with it. But to be completely honest, I don't know that many of my pieces, unless they are glued down in such a way that I can't tear up or they're in a frame, that I would probably say are 100% ever done.
mm.
But that's
So
fun.
do you use magazines? Where do you get your pieces from? And what do you put them on? Canvas, paper?
In terms of the papers themselves, there are a variety of ways I scrap. I use
Okay.
anything from trash on
Mm.
like labels, anything that's a sticker. People will give me any piece of paper they find
Mm.
because I've
I
got
like
that sort of understanding with my friends at this point. So we have magazines or catalogs delivered to work. that's art now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, or people are giving away years worth of magazines and newspapers and letters, even just random scraps of paper, and they can all go towards a bigger piece. But you were asking about what the actual backgrounds are. It can depend. I have at times just used other full sheets of the magazines or copy paper. Other times I have like a scrapping journal or
What's
a,
a scrap? What does your scrapping journal consist of? That sounds fascinating.
well, it was gifted to me, I guess it's just like a journal for whatever I wanted to make of it, but it's made out of like recycled paper.
Oh, wow.
And so it has turned into just, I don't know how to
Where you
describe it,
where you
half
can just
notes.
play with ideas and notes about your work. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
This is sort of the genesis of me taking any of this seriously was being able to just have fun on a very small template. It
Yeah.
opens up so much possibility. I'm almost more intimidated by larger canvases
Well,
because I'm
you're
like,
good. I like your work. Why?
well,
You
thank
think you
you.
couldn't fill it up or something?
No, I could fill it up, but I think that I'm so detail oriented, or I like looking at the little tiny pieces of things that it's almost just more accessible to be working on something that's already smaller. For instance, I love making people cards, like original birthday
Oh,
cards,
wow.
or just like
Nice.
my pen pals. So that's been a really fun way of expression. How much detail and like layering can I add to something that used to just be a 4 by 6 piece of paper?
Yes.
So as
So,
a yeah, go ahead.
so do you see yourself maybe in the future adding other types of pieces besides paper, like cloth or any other types of pieces to your work?
Yeah, one of the pieces I submitted to you was one of like the first cloth
Oh,
slash photography magazine piece I
oh,
did.
wow.
Yeah, and I don't have a whole lot of seamstress sewing expertise, but the first day I got my hands on the cloths, I was just like, well, you need to see how this is all going to come together. So it was as simple as using double-sided tape and just like sticking it there,
Okay.
looking at it and seeing if that looked good. But right now I have a lot of these cloth samples that someone was donated,
Ah,
and I just started sewing in like pictures and magazines onto the cloth, and I was like, I dig this. I don't know where it's gonna go,
ah,
but I love or I have loved when I've gone to art museums and there's just the knitwork sections.
oh
Like
yeah,
collaging with knitwork is so
yeah, yeah,
beautiful.
yes. In every
So,
medium I can think, people can do collages out of different types of mediums. Because I wasn't even thinking about the sewing. I was thinking about even gluing that to, a canvas or paper. I mean,
yeah.
so the possibilities are endless.
I think that's the appeal to me. I don't like to be super boxed in, and whenever I can see that other people are capable of interworking like different materials, I just know that that's in my wheelhouse too. We can make anything happen. But it is sometimes hard to not have an idea and then just have the materials and start from there. But as funny as it may sound, I don't really know that I feel like the most visual or like in that way conceptualizing visuals before I have them. And I wonder,
Funny because I think some abstract artists go with the flow with it.
mhm,
There are a lot of artists that use different materials, and there's that blank canvas. There's some artists that are very meticulous, that everything's planned out or whatever. But there's other artists who go with the flow and allow the medium and the moment to guide them of where the process is going. So I think that sounds very freeing. I think most artistic people listening to you would understand that. That's a very you allow yourself not to be in a box, and you
mhm.
allow yourself to be free. And a lot of people like can't do that. You should award yourself for that. That's beautiful
Thank you. I
that
think
you're
it
able to do
is,
that.
intuition is a very valuable piece of the process. I do think in other ways of my life, I'm a bit more structure minded. So having this as a
Mm,
process is just almost like the dichotomy of it for me. I need both. I love
yeah.
structure. I love
Yes.
science and
Uh,
having things on track. And then I'm going to carve out time to do art, but the art itself is just going to happen when it happens.
yeah, you're very left. I'm left and right brain. You're very left and right brain, which is a positive. It obviously works for you. So, have you ever had any exhibitions yet?
No, I have not. And I was worried that that would be maybe not the sort of person that you were wanting to talk with, but I appreciate getting to discuss art anyway, because I do think that I would love to one day make something a little bit more on a certain topic or a theme that could parlay into an exhibition. But as of now, that just hasn't been something I have considered.
You should consider it. You don't have to have a solo exhibition right away. Most people don't. You should
Mm.
enter some of your pieces into exhibitions depending on what they're looking for, because I think you would be able to get in. You
Well,
start
thank
from there and then you just build up. You don't have to build a whole series of things. And you can
Yeah.
have a general topic that all your pieces can fit into, but you should start looking at calls for artists for different exhibitions and get in the process of what it's like to submit and just try it out. Yeah,
Okay.
I think there's no, you're just starting this. You haven't been doing this for decades, have you?
Yeah. No, that's no. Just alive. That's all
Yes,
I've been.
yes. So I think you should consider that and be open to that, because I think it would be interesting for you to see other people observing your work and what impressions they get.
I I agree. I think that it's been rewarding even on a smaller scale to share this with friends, whether it be gifts to them or just, hey, I made something, want to look at it? Because I do know so many people who make things, whether it be music or graphic design or website design. And so sharing has been very encouraging to me. I wouldn't really know how other people feel. And regardless of that, I don't know that I want anyone to feel anything in particular other than interested, just something beyond neutrality or that they want to engage with the art. So I do take that, what you're saying, to heart, and I would
Yeah,
very much be inclined to seek out open calls. The way my mind works, I'm just like, if I'm not already at 100% ready for something, but you have to be making
but that's
efforts
part
in
of the
between.
process as an artist, is to
Mm-hmm.
exhibit, and it helps you develop you and keep developing you and keep you yearning to want to do more, and keeps you open. And most people art is a very individualistic thing, even if an artist names a piece and has an intention, how that
Mm.
person interacts with that piece is very personal. It's a very unique thing for every person that observes that piece. And everybody may not see the same thing or feel the same way. So, it's a beautiful process. And collages to me, even when you think you're not because I looked at some of your work, the work you sent me, you may not think you're sending a message, but I can see some symbiotic stuff in it, some balance, and the pieces kind of almost talking to each other and sending a message or sending out certain energy. It's coming out that way for me looking at your work, even though you may not be thinking that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's coming out complete. It doesn't come out random and I just threw some stuff on a piece of paper.
Right.
It comes out like you took some effort, you put some energy into it, and then here it is, and you're presenting it. So that's a good thing. And everybody who's an artist doesn't go to formalized art classes. There are some artists that are, I mean, just outstanding. That you don't have to just go to art school to become an artist. A lot of people
Mhm.
haven't. You pick up different techniques, and some people go and take classes if they want to learn a certain technique. But artists are derived from different ways they're derived from. So you're coming from the way you're supposed to come from. That's your journey.
Hmm. That
So,
is very comforting.
yes. So, considering what you told me, why did you apply? Why did you send me information to want to be featured? There must be something in you that you
Yeah.
you want people to know. So tell me.
I was looking for what you were suggesting I do, and it was
Oh,
the beginning of it, of course. And it was very exciting and encouraging to be seen in art and to hear that you found the intention behind it or felt something of the symbiosis you said. I I can't see it. It's sort of though like when you're looking at something really close up as opposed
yes.
to
Yes.
taking some space away from it. And so when I reached out to you, that was like I was saying, a bit of a first effort at what or whom is looking for art. And I really valued your approach to almost archiving or documenting the generation I'm a part of, just the contemporaries of Gen Z and what they are doing. And so I've looked into the other people that you've talked with just to not only be inspired, but to just try and understand why else everyone else is making art. What is on everyone's heart and mind that got them into it? And a lot of it seems like passion based and technically driven or career driven, and I loved seeing that because it's so refreshing for something to not be about marketability or profit, but just expression for the sake of it. I've had so many people be like, "Oh, you should sell this, you should sell that." And I'm like, I don't know if it's just because I'm not a very enterprising person or I'm not social media oriented, but that just didn't appeal to me. That wasn't why I was making anything to begin with. Not to say that anyone that is solely doing that or is trained to do that should be discouraged or it be separate from passion art. I'm sure there's a lot of passion that goes into things that are profitable, but it just wasn't the lane I was in. I was just like, I want to talk with people who care about art beyond merchandise and figure out maybe by way of even investigation in this case or just like getting to openly talk about it. What does this all mean to me? what do other people think about it and what are the other people involved in this process doing? I just felt like it was time to open a window and get some fresh air in about art.
There are millions of artists out there
There
who
are.
are compelled, who cannot stop themselves, who are so passionate that they just have to do this. Like, I don't get paid for what I do. It's a non-for-profit, and I'm going to start to raise money for it. But I love art. I've always loved art, and I love the story behind the artist and getting for people to get to know you guys and understand why you do this and how this comes out of you, because people who aren't artists, they're like, wow, how do you even think of that? How do you do that? Because they're not inclined to do that. And I
Mm,
always think of artists as being very brave, because you take your thoughts from within you or your creativity and you bear it to the world
mm,
to be judged, because the world does judge different things, negative or positive. And to me,
mm.
that takes a lot of bravery. Some people can't do that. They're not able to let themselves go. But you guys, we're able to let ourselves go and just reveal ourselves naked to the world. I think that's a beautiful, inspiring thing. And it inspires other people.
That's definitely been on my mind too with wanting to share. I want other people to feel as if this is accessible to them and not even by
Oh,
way of a rule book. I have so many people who I know who I feel like they are intrinsically more creative, spiritual, whatever you want to call it, than they would ever want to call themselves. And I really disdain that because it feels like a limiting lens for life
yeah.
and emotional processing. But
Yeah.
as you were saying, when it comes to art and sharing it, that vulnerability is really um you can't really detach it. And maybe it's just always been for me, whether it was video editing or writing or speech and debate, I just don't feel a lot of friction when it comes to being honest
I like.
or vulnerable, I guess, like bearing my soul. I don't know that that's what I'd call it, but this is just me. And I'm not, I try my best to not process it any more than that. I think life would be pretty unbearable if I was not authentic in some capacity. I'm not saying that there aren't times to turn it on and turn it off. I can't be, emotionally like falling apart in every facet and walk of life. But when it comes to the things I truly care about and getting stuff right, I think not letting yourself be free or emotionally available, it's just incompatible with art and expression. So maybe that is a natural thing that I don't have to think too much about.
Which is
It
a
just
good thing.
happens.
So you write, do you write poetry or do you write fiction?
Hmm.
What do you write? Because
I
I'm,
say it's hard to define. I don't know that I really write poetry, but I certainly like putting a hyperbolic twist on my experiences.
more
Like
like a journal.
more like a journal, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes though it veers into fiction, of course. Like these
Oh,
are
that's
not
good.
real characters and things that I totally experienced, but I love adding flowery, expansive language to the mundane. There's so many ways you could say something happened, and then you could, I don't know, break it
Seems
open even
very
further.
connected to your visual art. There's some symmetry there.
Maybe
Yeah,
so.
because look at what you're putting on canvas. And,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't fit into any categories. You let it flow. You put different
Mm.
things that don't necessarily go together. and they come out balanced. And you're writing, you're letting that flow too, and putting things there that, may not come from the real, but it's real on the way it's coming out on a piece of paper. That's very similar.
It was almost like how I started connecting a few minutes ago that maybe more of my collaging is related to the way I also just think and write and analyze,
It seems
like
that
kind of just
way.
making leaps and bounds and associations. And I do think that I'd make associations for better or for worse very quickly. Some of it's survival associations, and some of it's just like, well, this is like that in this way. And I don't always know at the time I'm associating it what it is. But if I thought about it a little further, if I had to explain it to someone, I would be able to. So, yeah, I think they have similar effects or bring out similar feelings for me, just embellishing.
That would be a nice solo show, mixing your writing and certain statements with
Mm,
pieces going one in one place, and then the next step you go, somebody will read some of your writing. Because to
mm,
me, the energy's blended. It's coming
mm,
across like that. It may not be, but for me right now, talking to you, it seems very coming from a same space,
mm.
but two different mediums, but it's coming out the same way. Your mind is allowing you to just express yourself freely and flow with it. And it comes out and it has some kind of frequency and meaning to it. That's
I
interesting.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying you're very interesting. That's interesting to me.
Thank you. I, what you were saying, though, I've tried wondering for myself, what would come first? Would the writing come first, or would the visuals come first? I
Why
just
couldn't
don't
they come
know.
together? Why couldn't you be writing something and later on, the writing or the collage, you know, inspires the other? Why couldn't you be doing and then go over and do a little bit of piece of this collage, do them back and forth? Or you could finish a collage and then you start thinking about something and feel the need to write
Hmm.
and
I
later
feel like,
on put them together after you've completed enough pieces of both.
hmm, yeah, maybe I'm trying to break it down to a science when it's
But that's not your method.
no.
So your method is it seems to come from um a spiritual place. I don't mean a religious place, but it seems to spiritually come from you allowing yourself to not be limited,
Hmm,
to trust yourself, to let it flow out of you and put it down, maybe in writing in paper. So why change that process? Why not
hmm,
just do it? Like you said, you do the art when you feel compelled that you feel like doing it. Well, that's when
hmm,
you do it. Same with the writing. So why change that process? And
hmm,
you'll know when, okay, say I've got, 15 pieces of collages or I don't know, 20 pieces or 25 writings. You'll know when to put them together and which ones will make it balance the way you want to present it. It doesn't have to be methodical. That's a process for you.
hmm. I think that is very welcome feedback. I have been so caught up in like the and how would it come together instead of just letting it come together. But as of now, they have been very separate to me, you know. I'm writing what I want to write. I'm looking at the kinds of papers and things I have and making something out of them, but maybe with some time, and I have plenty of time, they
Yeah, you
can
should start
be,
to share those.
hmm,
You could even share your writings in the book. This is one
yeah.
writing, that's the next writing, that's the next writing. And if you should do some more research with artists who become really famous because you will find when they start doing things, Nobody else is doing it that way. That's why
Mm.
some of these artists that are great artists, they were unique. They did things the way they saw things, not the way society saw it or the way the peers said it should be. Even people who are great scientists. My undergrad's in biology. I love science and physics.
Lovely.
So people who become well known and great at things are not because they follow the crowd, because they challenge themselves and they step out of the box
Mm.
and they trust themselves that whatever they're experiencing, I'm going to go with that. I don't care what Sally's doing. I'm going to do what I want to do. So you're creating something that who knows what could happen with it. It's different. It's unique. That's what makes people artists anyway. You should go with it and trust that, that's the thing I love about art too, is that every piece that's created by an artist is unique to that person.
Mm.
Everybody can create in the world. I'm not saying people can't copy people, but when an artist creates something from their heart, it's uniquely coming from them. What more do you need? It's beautiful.
It is. They do complement one another more than maybe I've allowed myself to let them. And it just does encourage me going forward that even if I don't see the full picture right now of a merger between mediums, that it's even palpable from like a different perspective that it likely exists. And it's not like I have any intention of stopping either. So
Yeah. And they don't have to be together, but the writing is just as important as you being an artist too. It's artistic too.
I
So,
would say, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So, being in the Gen Z generation, do you see any of that having any thing to do with how you encourage artistically, or there's no connection? What do you see?
I think that there are influences. On
Mm.
the one hand, as much as you'll hear the perspective that art is discouraged for the purpose of maybe income or just, how do I say, prestige almost, there's just as many people now who are able to speak to wide ranges of folks and profess the opposite, that there's no amount of income that's going to buy you fulfillment, and there's
Mm.
no amount of prestige that has any bearing on your soul. It's all very shallow, and there's always going to be the voices that discourage creative processes. I think there's another version of that though, where there are so many people leaning towards humanities, arts, and expression that it almost reads to me as oversaturated. And I don't mean that it's invaluable. I
Mm.
just think that maybe because of the way of marketing, not even just your products, but yourself as an entity, like,
All the
there-
influencers.
yes. And there are people who take up art and they are influencers for that reason almost. It's
Yeah,
hard
they
to
are.
just it's hard to pinpoint exactly what I think the issue if that is, but I will say that the second the ego becomes intertwined with
What you're
the yeah, just whether it be the process itself or what you're outputting, that it's vulnerable to changing in a way that veers from maybe an original love or interest. And I've
Refreshing to
noticed,
say this.
yeah,
A
I mean,
lot
I've
of
just
people in my
noticed.
generation find
Mhm.
um I don't know how many are out there. I'm kind of like almost studying. I want to study the Gen Z because there's a whole crop of them doing exactly what you're saying. There was an actor, I'm trying to think it was who it was. I was what can remember their name the other day. He talked about how a lot of young people coming up to him because he's probably his 60s. And he was saying it's discouraging that they want to be an actor to become famous. They don't want to learn the craft. And they don't
Mm,
understand that most of these actors, the older ones that you've seen, it took them 20 and 30 years to get to that height, but they were into the process. But he finds that all of these younger people just want to do it to walk down it. They only talk about the red carpeting, and to be influencer and all that. So it's refreshing to hear you say something like this. And I'm sure there's other young Gen Z people out there, but you're the type of voice I want people to hear because older people make a judgment about Gen Z and they don't really investigate themselves. You're exactly the type, the ones I'm picking, it's just been so refreshing to interview because you're a lot more complex and sensitive than what people are labeling you for.
mm.
It's interesting. I'm glad to see you have that perspective.
I understand why the label is being slapped on, though, and I don't think it's
Yeah.
because there aren't plenty of like-minded or complex, sensitive individuals. I just think that the ones that are heard the loudest and are most, I guess, acceptable,
Or seen.
yes, seen for sure, they are palatable first
Mm,
and everything else second. And
yes.
that's
Yes.
problematic when bridged into something that is inherently meant to be boundaryless. I
Yes.
think those are incongruent. And as that's why I'm very defensive about my not being on and selling my things at this point. I'm like, I mean, I'm just figuring this out for myself. I don't know why I would sort of
But you wouldn't frown
commercialize.
upon somebody wanting to buy your art.
Um, no, I've been surprised because I'm like,
I
I
don't know
mean,
why.
there's a dime a dozen versions of this out there. Like someone who actually wants to be in business,
But a lot
they're
of artists, are just as passionate and they're not thinking when they make the piece, I'm creating this to sell it, but they will sell it. And everybody, your
yes.
work is not necessarily like the next person making the collage. Yeah, there are a lot of artists that do collages, but the person who buying it, they want to buy it because you made it and they like the way it looks. This is your piece. So you would sell it, wouldn't you?
I'd be interested to put a price on it. Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
I don't
that's
know
good.
what I don't know what the product would be that they want if they just want to have it on their wall
Yeah, that's what
or
most people do. They would frame a
yeah.
collage and put it on their wall. Yeah, because they like it.
No, and I love that too for my own home. I mean, getting to make art and then decorate the home with
Yeah.
art is a beautiful touch. And I think if other people wanted it in their house, that's awesome. That's why I give it to my friends.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
are my people. And
Yeah.
I guess it just becomes totally different when I think about it in terms of a wider audience because I do think that it's really valuable that more people have access to the internet so that they know that these types of arts exist, so
Hmm.
that they can play with it themselves. But it becomes, I'm trying to find the right word here, almost generic to a sense. Like, and I've just wondered sometimes what does that mean for art moving forward?
Hmm.
But it doesn't mean anything as long as there is a pretty stark difference between just making something and then feeling through it, making something, living with the art. And it's hard to really say where everyone's heart is when they're doing or making anything just by visuals alone. But
Yeah.
I think that social medias and just the relevancy and the acceptability of art kind of has obscured the separatism of making art, being an artist. So that's why I'm even hesitant to say I am an artist in any sense. I
But
don't know. Well, thank you.
you answered my call for Gen Z.
I did.
So somewhere in that space of yours, know
Yes.
that you're an artist and you're going in that direction.
Yeah.
And I feel the reason why I do what I do because I want to expose the world to the stories and the beautiful art that people make. There are so many talented people in the world. There's so much that we should love about each other and spend less time talking about what we don't like. There's so many good, crazy, inspiring stories and people doing so much good. And that's what I like to share. And somehow they get attracted. I attracted you some kind of way. I'm
Yes.
blessed to do that. So you're an artist. I'm officially
Thank
you're,
you.
you're a mixed media artist. That's what you would be considered mixed media. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I appreciate you allowing me to feature you.
Yay. Well,
Okay.
thank you so much. I really
You are
appreciate
you are
it.
so welcome. Please keep in touch with me, okay?
Will do.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye, sweetie.
Bye.